Hi everyone, my name is Hilary Burkett, and the educational thinker who I chose was B.F. Skinner. I've always been fascinated by Skinner and all of his theories. Basically, he was an American psychologist who studied behaviorism, and he taught at Harvard University from 1958 to about 1974 when he retired. So, behaviorists think that our responses to our environment shape our actions. So they focus mostly on our human and animal behaviors and what causes them and what happens after the behavior occurs. Skinner is famously known for his Skinner box, which helped him discover operant conditioning. The Skinner box is basically a conditioning chamber that several psychologists use to this day to observe different animals and their behaviors. So this included mice, is what he was studying. It had electrified floors, wood pellets, and a series of levers. So basically, the mice would go over, and if they did the right sequence of events that led them to a reward, which was the wood pellet or the food pellet, and if they did the wrong sequence of events, they would get shocked. And basically, Skinner learned that our environments affect our behaviors. Skinner has also developed many educational ideas and has influenced the field of education greatly. However, he still had his critics who didn't believe in his ideas. A few of his educational ideas included, obviously, the operant conditioning. He was really the founder of this, and he really studied this. So it was the reward versus the punishment. So positive reinforcement versus negative reinforcement, and we as educators use this a lot in the classroom. So the positive reinforcement is more effective than punishment at changing and establishing behavior. And this is because when children are constantly punished, they will learn how to avoid the punishment. So he found that positive reinforcement is always the way to go. Also, with environmental cues, this is a big thing. He found out like humans don't really think; they just respond to like the environmental cues. Therefore, changes in behavior were the results of a person's response to the events occurring in their environment. Skinner not only had a lot of educational ideas, but he also had a lot of educational influence. So the main thing was the applied behavioral analysis. He's known as the founder of the behavior analysis and the father of the applied behavior analysis. You'll hear a lot about this ABA or applied behavioral analysis working in the field of education, and I've been around a lot of registered behavioral technicians who will use this format. And it's basically, they look at the behavior and it's based on what happened before the behavior was exhibited and then what happened after. Applied behavior analysis is known as the most effective way to teach young children with autism. Being in the special education field, you will see a lot of people with this learning disability, so ABA is used quite a bit in the special education field. Skinner also found that there was two major purposes of education. One being to teach the skills of both verbal and nonverbal behavior. Being in the special education field, you will notice a lot of children that will have the nonverbal behavior component. There's a lot of nonverbal and then verbal students. And then the other one is to encourage students to display an interest in instruction. Along with every other psychologist or behavioralist, they will have their critics, they'll have their critiques. One major one that I found with Skinner was that a lot of people thought that his operant conditioning and his Skinner box can be extremely problematic for the treatment of autism, along with other diseases, special needs, disabilities, anything like that. This is because a lot of people turn to shock therapy. They thought that they could shock the autism out of people or shock anything out of people and change their brains, kind of, to think a different way. This is extremely unethical, extremely abusive, and I don't think it's right at all. On the flip side, I believe that he did have some good studies, and the conditioning can work with students. Obviously not the shock treatment, but he did believe in breaking down tasks into smaller components so the students and his studies can achieve these goals a lot quicker and kind of learn more. And then he also rewarded for a lot of accomplishments. And I believe that that's the key to education, is rewarding the students and not punishing them all the time. And he believed in more of like the positive reinforcement and the rewarding more than the negative and the punishing. In conclusion, B.F. Skinner has developed many educational ideas and has influenced educators in many ways. I believe that he has impacted the field of education in a positive way for the most part, as long as his findings are used in the appropriate way and not in an abusive or unethical situation.